make sure you take your crappy car on that first date, because if she sees your Porsche, she's just nothing but a gold digger. You can't go into business and just be a balanced guy. You know, I'm just going to work from 8 to 4 and I'm going to take weekends off. None of that is happening. I would actually make the machine, take them to powder coat, bring them back from powder coat, put them together, load them in a trailer, drive them to the coach, install them, turn around and start all over again. I would eat on the floor. I would sleep on the floor for a couple hours in my office. My wife would bring sandwiches to me.
Welcome to the Shaw Strength Podcast. I am your host, Brian Shaw, and today I have Mr. Tyler Hobson. Tyler is the owner of Iron Core and has built some incredible pieces of equipment. If you guys have seen my gym, I've got, I don't know how many pieces now, quite a few. Of your pieces in my gym, and they are incredible. Some of them have been customized to me, to my body, and it's been fun, man. I think that was probably, 7 or 8 years ago where I contacted you about ordering the first pieces. It must have been that, probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, at least that. Yeah, and we were, working around your pivot points. Even back then I was working with Rogers, and so I designed that piece to match where your hips are. So that was your squat piece. I think that's the first custom piece we did.
Yep.
And, allowed you to get natural depth and everything like that. So then just getting to pull you over to Iron Core now and continue that relationship has been a blast. I just love it so much.
Yeah, man. I am fascinated. Every time we get together, it's like you start talking equipment and whatever. So I think this will be fun. Well, fun for me, but also fun for people to hear kind of, how did you get into it? Like, were you into lifting growing up, or like where did that passion start?
I started Olympic weightlifting. I did an independent study. I grew up in Alaska, so I think there was probably 300 kids in my high school. It was not a big school, but
sure.
I had a coach who was really pivotal in my life, and he was an avid weightlifter, and so he took 3 of us students, and we had introductory to Olympic lifting, and that was probably back in 10th grade, and I just loved lifting, and I've lifted forever since then, and then I competed in powerlifting. Of course, I was always fascinated by the famous bodybuilders that were out in Venice Beach, and I wanted to learn more about the high-intensity style strength training, and there wasn't any gyms close to me, so I started making my own equipment and worked in a fabrication facility, so I had access to the equipment to make my stuff, and I got interested in Mike Mentzer's high intensity, the heavy duty bullet and all that stuff. And so I got certified through his program. And on that, I had made this multi-station machine that would actually complement every one of his specific workouts.
Interesting.
So that was the Pendulum multi-station machine. And that piece, I actually got a patent on it. And that started the Pendulum company. I think I was going to call that company, in the beginning, it was going to be like Oz Fitness, where your dreams become reality, real corny or something like that.
Yeah.
And my lawyer who helped me get the patent, they said, that's not really that good of a name. I'm like, I said, what would you call it? And she looked at me and she said, well, how do you come up with the idea for the resistance and all this? And I said, well, it's based on the pendulum principle. The farther the weight goes away from you, the heavier it gets until dead top center. And she said, you should call your company Pendulum.
Interesting.
And so I'm like, okay, that's a great idea. I don't think it's very catchy, but,
Yeah.
35 years later. But that's kind of how I got started. And on that machine, that multi-station was the squat machine that everybody knows all over the world. People were more interested in, I don't want to do all those switches going back and forth from chest press to leg press, and have to work on the machine. I just want to move from one machine to another. I think you should do a standalone piece. And so I did the squat machine, the Power Squat Pro.
Yep.
And was really, God just blessed me with the right people. And I got it in with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got it in at the University of Michigan, and it just started spreading. So I was this little shoemaker down in Texas making these little handmade pieces, and nothing's changed. I'm right back
Yeah.
doing it again.
No, that's awesome, man. So how old were you when you designed that first like multi-station piece?
I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in my 20s.
And how long did you have to work on something like that? I mean, if you're building it by yourself, it's like concept and design, trial and error. There has to be a lot of that going on.
You're going to throw 10 of them away.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to get it, and then you're going to make it, and you think you've got a home run, and then you're going to get somebody in on the machine, and they're going to do something crazy on it. And you're like, well, what if you put your hand here, and then you come down on your hand? I'm like, I never thought of that. So there was a lot of redesigning and a lot of, you got to look at every aspect of how somebody's going to train. Are they going to train with a slow rep speed or an explosive rep speed? That completely annihilates the strength curve.
Sure.
You know, so when you have momentum, which a lot of athletic programs train very explosively.
Yep.
So you've got to always kind of go back to the drawing board and keep tweaking it until it fits the end user who's going to be using the tool. So there's a lot of that, and a lot of, one of the things I think that made me different than a lot of inventors, I was okay with just throwing it away and starting all over again from scratch. Where a lot of guys, they'll design something and it's not quite right, so they'll just keep tweaking it and changing it. The next thing you know, you got this Rube Goldberg device, you know, where it's just giant, like the H squat. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
It's just sometimes you just get away from the true nature of what it was you're trying to build. But
Yeah.
it's fun.
That's something. I mean, did you train on a lot of pieces of equipment? So starting with Olympic lifting, obviously a barbell, you know, primary as the piece of equipment with Olympic lifting, but did you train on a lot of equipment? I mean, did you when you were kind of first getting started, or did you get around a lot of it?
I didn't. You know, it was funny. I trained mostly free weights,
Okay.
and my favorite sport was powerlifting, and so I wasn't even into the bodybuilding thing at all. But because I trained for powerlifting using high intensity techniques, I would go to failure by myself all the time. And
so you needed something to be safer.
I needed something safe, something, and you know, selfishly, I always wanted to tweak those weak points, and the machine was the best way to do that. So, you know, I had herniated discs in my back, so I still wanted to train my legs. I had to get the pressure off of my spine.
Yep.
So I made a hip press. So the hip press,
and
it's like doing a deadlift, but it's just the leg part of it. There's no spinal compression on it. So all of my toys all had a story behind them. I didn't just come out with 10 machines. I came out with one machine to solve a problem at a time.
Sure.
So it was 2007 when I finally, you know, sold my company and joined Rogers. So I had a pretty good run at it.
And how many years did you do it before that in 2007?
I probably did it from early 90s is when I incorporated Pendulum.
Okay.
And then 17 years.
That's awesome.
And then I was with Rogers for 16 years. And I just love designing equipment. And now I'm back on my own, and I also am working with the Play Corporation, designing a line of athletic equipment for them, which is called the Armor Series. So I'm doing that now. So I just don't like sleeping, apparently.
No, yeah. Well, you're always moving, man. I mean, it's like you know, and we were talking a little bit about how you come up with, you know, some of the design ideas, and, you know, when things just kind of come to you, whether you're driving or, you know, just having the open mind to be like, hey, this is something we could do to change something, to make it better, to improve it, you know. And I think that when you're coming from a place of passion and you're very passionate about it, and you know, we can even pull up a video here. Because I drove down to Texas earlier this year. Was that March maybe? Or was it before that?
I think it was before March.
Okay, yeah. So February, or gosh, early.
Yeah, you had a little window, and you're like, I can come today.
Yeah, it was like, basically not much forewarning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went down, or I went down, drove down there, and you know, it was fun to go through the piece of equipment, and then, you know, obviously your setup with some of the original pieces was also fascinating to me. You know, like stuff that was designed like that. You know, the pull down. So we're going through the Bicep Pro that you customized and made for me, which is incredible. The handles on that are ridiculous.
Yeah, that was really really fun. It's when I get people in on the machines, like with you, there's still stuff I didn't realize. I mean, your forearms are so massive when we had a collision with the arm,
bringing it up,
until you get the user on the machine and actually trying it and fitting them in. That's kind of a big deal. So,
and this is the vertical chest press. So, yeah, I mean, going through this, I mean, and here's the row that we were going through. So this was really good, really, really good. And then we, had the conversation, and actually the handles are different on the one that you made for me, where the handles fully rotate, and it's such a unique piece, man. I mean, but all of them, I think that the thing is, and people will see from videos that I post or whatever, like every piece of equipment is quite literally a work of art. Like you can tell the time and effort and pride that goes into each piece with the Iron Core line. And it's something that I love, because just walking in the gym, it's phenomenal, right? It's like the wow factor, but then you train on it and the wow factor just goes up even more, because it's like, oh my gosh, this feels incredible. So when you've used equipment where, let's just say, corners kind of get cut a little bit, it's just not quite done to the level. Okay, yeah, maybe it's functional for a while, but then you end up having a problem or whatever. It just doesn't, you can just feel the difference. And I think that that's really the thing. And, when somebody, and I've had a number of different people kind of, hop on and try either the incline chest or the vertical chest press, or even, to be fair, even the Power Squat Pro, like all of that type of stuff. And it's like the feeling that you get from using the equipment it adds to the wow factor, and you can just tell what goes into it. And you and I have had a number of different conversations about what does go into it, and looking at it. And I'm not going to claim to be a metal worker or any of that, but it's just, if you put it side by side with another piece that doesn't have the same amount of love and care and passion that's put into it, you can clearly see. You can just clearly see the difference.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite things to do is you can make a machine look awesome. You can make it, look beefy, or make it look real sexy with sleek bends and all of that kind of stuff. I try to keep a real primitive look to the equipment, but I sit there and I wait and I watch their face. And that's that's the most satisfying thing when they do their first repetition on that the upright chest press with the foot assist that you have. I had the Flex Original and I loved it, and I played on it, but there was some things I wanted to change on it. And when even the prototype that was just tack welded together, not even completely finished, when I did the first rep, I just started laughing.
That's awesome.
Because I knew it was special. I'm like, oh, you put all that big 1.5-inch shafting on there and all those pillow blocks.
Yep.
I mean, there's 8-inch pillow block bearings on that machine.
It's wild.
It's so much overkill that it's perfect. It's just, but that's, working for big companies, you don't always get to do that, because their bottom line, I kind of look at mine as, it's art. I'm going to make a special piece specially for you.
Sure.
And that I might not make anymore.
Yeah.
So it's limited editions, and I get to do it exactly how I want to do it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, being in control like that, I think it's fascinating, like your story with starting Pendulum and running it, because it was basically you and your wife, right?
Totally.
That was running it. And I mean, talk about that. Like, what was that dynamic like? And because I work with Carrie, with my wife, and it's been an interesting progression. But I love the small business, especially family, where you're doing it with your significant others. Incredible. It's
kind of like that yin yang, thing. Like, I have ADD off the chain, so I wake up, I'm creative. I go to work at 2:30 in the morning. I'm always running around. I work 16 hours a day. There's just not much balance there. So you need an anchor. You need somebody there that, you walk in and you smell food cooking. You didn't even realize you were hungry. You know? But on the Pendulum side, what we wanted to create was a community. And that's how we started our business, one person at a time. And, you know, I'd talk to my contractor that built my house. I still live in the same house, that my very first house. And he said, Tyler, if you go with me, I want you to know I can go have coffee with anybody I ever built a house for.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
It's very powerful. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to carry that and borrow that with me.
Yep.
And so I wanted to be able to create a community of guys that were investing in me and I'm investing in them. And I could still go have a cup of coffee with somebody that I sold a piece of equipment to 30 years ago because they're still excited.
Yeah.
I had a guy reach out to me from Scotland just the other day. He said, hey, I just found this. And he sent me a picture. It was a picture of the very first multi-station type machine that I made.
Wow.
Got 35 plus years later.
Yeah.
Still working, still there.
And it went over to Scotland.
I made it for the guy in Scotland.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he had very limited room, and he actually put it up in his attic. And so we had to go back and forth with the architects and talk about how much it weighed because it might come crashing down through the roof.
Sure, you got to support it. Yeah.
So there was all this stuff. I remember it very clearly. And now somebody else is still using that machine, and they shared the pictures with me. But Tracy she would be at the home. She was like the fireplace of our company. So I'd go home, and we had the Pendulum line, you know, so we had our business home line and then the Pendulum line back in the days when everything was wired to the wall.
Landline.
The landline. And she would be on the phone talking, and I'd be hearing the conversation. I know it's a Pendulum phone call.
Yeah.
And she'd be going, make sure you take your crappy car on that first date, because if she sees your Porsche, she's just nothing but a gold digger. And I'm like, who are you talking to? You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, just go in the other room. I've got this. You know?
Yeah, I'm handling it.
Yeah. I went to do an installation. I took Tracy and my little boys to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we get there, and the coach is there with his baby. And Tracy and the coach and their babies, everybody goes to the park and leave me to do all the work. And but she was just a champion of people. She just loves people, and that is what we wanted to have back with Iron Core. We wanted that family, you know.
Sure.
So that makes all the difference in the world. So that community, and that's what really, I'll be honest, I'm very attracted to that with Shaw Strength.
Yep.
Because you've done an incredible job building that community. You know, you have people all over the world that are just huge fans of you, and that's quite a testament to your business.
Well, it's such an interesting thing what you just said, right? Like with your home builder, and if you go with me, I can still go and have a cup of coffee with anybody I built a house for, right? And I know, you know, I mean, we built this house. I would not go have a cup of coffee with the guy that built our house, right?
Yeah.
It's just, but also the other part of that, like what you just said, is it's very important to me, the interaction that I have with every single person that I run into. So you would be very, very hard pressed, and actually it would be impossible for you to find one person, just one, that has had a bad interaction with me when they came to meet me or say hi or take a picture or whatever. And that could have been the most inopportune moment ever, right? Like whether I was like, oh, I was trying to do something with my family or boys or whatever, and somebody gets excited. They're not thinking about that. They're just excited. Oh man, Brian, can't you like do this? And it's like, I've always tried to take the time, and I always have taken the time to do that for people, but it comes back, right? So it's like how you treat somebody, what you put out is what you're going to get back. And that's really, you know, how I feel. So it's not a one-time interaction with somebody. And the way that I look at it is somebody like that says, hey, you know, Brian took the time to sign something or take a picture or whatever. And, you know, it's really, really cool. Like later on down the line, maybe they buy a t-shirt, or maybe they buy some Undefined Nutrition product or something and say, hey, you know what, Brian was really cool. You know, I really appreciate what he did for me, and it comes back. So it'd be the same thing business-wise. It's good business to treat people the right way, and then they end up coming back, and then every single person, I would all but guarantee the same for you. everybody that's dealt with you or, you know, bought a piece of equipment or whatever, they're always going to say, man, Tyler's a great guy, and, you know, just reach out to him or whatever. And that's a huge thing, because there's a lot of other people now, especially in this world, where it's like they look at it as maybe more of a transactional thing. Okay, I'm going to get somebody to buy something one time, and then I'm never going to talk to them again. And I don't really, as long as I get that one thing done, it's good. I don't care anymore, you know? And so it would be, you know, the same thing. And we try obviously very hard with our company, the same thing, where it'd be like, okay, well, if you get a supplement, we're doing our best to make sure that's the best product that we can possibly put forward. And I'm obviously when you're dealing with products or supportive gear or whatever, or shirts, there's always bound to be something, but we always try to make it right. You know, like we're always trying to make it right. So, you know, but that all comes back around, man. And you know, with your wife on the phone, like interacting with people that way, I'm sure everybody that interacted with her had the same impression. It's like the customer service was on another level.
Oh, my wife doesn't know anything about football or sports or anything. We got invited to go to a Houston, Texas game. I made equipment for the Houston Texans. I also made equipment for the Baltimore Ravens. So they're playing at Energy Stadium, both teams. We're friends with both coaches. So we go out to see them, and we meet them. We're on the sidelines down on the field right before the game. My wife hands both of them homemade boxes of chocolates. Right?
Yeah.
And so they're on TV. The coaches run out into the center of the field to shake hands on national television.
Yeah.
And you can hear people, what are they carrying in those boxes?
That's great.
That's how she always was. She just loves everybody, and she loves her, you know, Pendulum people, her Iron Core people. That's just, but she's just the heartbeat of it. But, you know, getting back to the fact that, you know, you put your name on your product. That represents you and your wife, your family, you know, everything about you.
Yep.
You know, your name is on it. And that's why I sign the machines. That's why my signature's on them.
Yep.
Because hopefully it says something about you.
Of course,
you know,
of
right?
course.
You're a detail guy. You're still going to make mistakes. I mess up all the time. But you're still going to, people are going to know that he gave it his best, that when they look at that machine, it says something about who you are. You cross the T's, you dot the I's, you put love into it. That's what you said about me when you said, I can see the love that you pour into these machines. And that's, hopefully that's it's there, you know.
Yes.
I definitely do it. So
how did, I'm assuming your wife like understood your passion and was supportive of that. Like, was there any tough, like, with all that being said, I mean, like, talk about the challenge of what it is.
A lot of people want to go into business, but they're not really driven. Like, it's not an obsession.
Yep.
There's not, you can't go into business and just be a balanced guy. You know, I'm just going to work from 8 to 4 and I'm going to take weekends off. None of that is happening.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't share this with a lot of people, but it got really tough because we had 2 little kids, and I would actually make the machines, take them to powder coat, bring them back from powder coat, put them together, load them in a trailer, drive them to the coach, install them, turn around and start all over again. I would eat on the floor. I would sleep on the floor for a couple hours in my office. My wife would bring sandwiches to me. And it got to be to where, you know, she said, you know, this isn't worth it. I'm a single mom. I never even see you. It's not like we're making money. Because we were actually taking money out of savings to just keep it running.
Sure.
It got so hard that she's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if I was about to lose my family.
Of course.
And so I told Tracy, I said, you know, I'll give it all up. I'll go get a job at Home Depot or whatever. I'll get a 9 to 5. You're more important to me than all of this weightlifting stuff. I'll throw it all away. And she looked at me and she said, that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And she said, now let's roll up our sleeves and we'll do this together.
That's awesome.
So she just needed to know that she was first, you know, that we were building this together. And so having a partner like that, man, that's rare.
Rare,
but
for sure.
Worth infinite amount of money. It's everything to me. So Now we're doing it again, and she still made me a big bag of sandwiches to
Sure.
to come on this trip.
Yeah.
Calls and checks on me, see where you are on the road.
Yeah.
I'm watching you on Life 360. You're going too fast.
Yeah. See, that supportiveness, man, is something. It's something else. Like it's, and we, Carrie and I can relate to that, because it's like, for a good chunk of when the boys were super young, there was a lot of things where I was on the road sometimes for a month at a time. And it's just like, and this was, we had both boys in diapers, and she was trying to potty train Braxton and like our older one. And then it's just like, you look back and you're like, wow, how did that all play out? But she was like, well, you have to do what you have to do to move the needle. Right. And to keep things moving forward. And it was not easy. It was like, and you just kind of get in this position where I think in my head, it's like, you have to do what you have to do. Right. So you're making it happen. You have to make it happen. You can't rely on anybody else to do it. You have to do it. And I think, what you said about business, a lot of times people like there are the people that say, oh, it must be nice, right? Like, must be nice to do this or do that, or you're in business for yourself. But the reality is, you never get to turn off.
No.
Ever.
No.
Never turn off.
Can't take the foot off the gas.
And this, otherwise, we're there's, and it's not for everybody, for sure not for everybody, because a lot of people aren't wired that way to go to that spot where, it's a unique thing, because they want to just go to work, and when they're done with work, they check out and their brain turns off, and they don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's the level of discipline and commitment, to make it happen, and to go through what are tough spots to get to hopefully better spots, where you're making an impact. But I think it's rewarding in its own way as well.
Yeah,
right. Like
yeah.
there's, and I'm sure, for you, well, it's just like today, like you're bringing new equipment here today. For me, I'm sure that, well, I'm super excited to see it and get to play with it and have it in the gym. But it's like, well, all of that hard work that has happened to get to that point is like, wow, okay, cool. Like, now that's there. And it's like, you're impacting people in a lot of different ways, but those pieces, for example, we were just having this conversation, the pieces you delivered, I will have forever with me, right? Like, they're mine. I'm going to train with them for the rest of my life. And then hopefully, it's like, well, either my boys take them over or whatever, but it's like, that's always going to be there. And like you said, your name's on it. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. And it's a very unique thing to be in that position.
You touched on something very subtly there, but when we're talking about our wives and our community and things, that have you ever experienced like negative energy? Like when something bad goes down, like you could be running 1,000 miles an hour and something triggers and it's bad.
Yep.
And it drives you to your knees because you've been running on fumes for so long.
Yep.
That you just can't go anymore. And so something that would be like, oh, I'm going to take the rest of the day off, that might be something that just floors you to where you can't even hardly stand up.
Yep.
That's happened to me many times. And so quite the opposite is running on positive vibes and positive energy, where you can walk through walls and you haven't slept in 3 days and you're not even starting to get tired because of the positive energy. And what I've found is that sometimes we have to borrow that from other people. So yesterday, not according to any DOT regulations, but I drove 15 and a half hours straight.
Yeah.
And I was exhausted. I couldn't sleep because I was so excited to see your face.
Yeah.
When you did that first rep.
Yeah.
And when you got on that machine, I could go another 24 hours because I borrowed that positive energy from you.
Sure.
And as you've probably have had to borrow that from your wife.
Of course.
And your business partners. When you're just against the wall, you're like, I can't go anymore. And they're like, I know, but hey, let's do this. Let's give it everything. And they pump you up and you go.
Yep.
So, that's kind of like we borrow and feed on each other. And I felt that big time from you today.
No, I love that. I love that, man. It is, yeah, the energy for sure it's such a big thing. And, for me, I'm very big on gratitude as well. So it's like you can be in the mix of some very challenging things, but then it's always like, all right, well, what do I have to be grateful for? And typically it's just three things. Like for me, it's just the three things, right? So I'll just focus on those three things, typically first thing in the morning or very early in the morning. And it will shift your mindset to say like, hey, you know what? That's pretty good. I like that, right? And you just get in more, just do practice, being grateful, and then you feed off of that. And then just like you said, you feed off of other people too, right? That are being positive. And, unfortunately, I think for me, I really like being positive. I'm a positive person. I like to look at the positive side of it. Even a bad situation, I try to say like, hey, maybe there's something positive we can get out of this. I really, really like that. But when you do get in a negative spot, I go negative pretty hard, like, because it's like it shifts up, right? So like, it's and I can go down that rabbit hole looking at the bad side of things very quickly. It doesn't happen super often for me, but I have to identify it quickly and say like, hey, we're going to change this up. And for me, typically it's building back positive momentum. Like I really believe like, hey, you put it in, you build. And that probably comes from my training mindset and, like how you're working towards something. But, if you identify, if you had a bad day, really bad things, whatever, you can always wake up the next day, get yourself in a spot where you're grateful and build positive the next day. And then all of a sudden you've shifted the course and you're back on that positive train versus like, hey, today's bad because of X, Y, or Z. And now tomorrow's going to be bad because of X, Y, or Z. So it's just being able to identify that. Easier said than done for sure.
Right.
But that's just the way it is. I mean, in life you can look around life for sure and find negative. It's very easy to find negative. Like you don't have to look that hard most of the time. And a lot of people will focus on that, unfortunately, but being able to shift toward a positive spot is much better, much better.
No, I think you and I have a very similar routine in it. And I kind of refer to it as being a very intentional perspective. So when you can get to work and you can look at all of the work you have to do, whatever job you're in, and you can be consumed by that. Or you can be grateful and look at all the work you have and go, man, there's guys that don't have jobs right now. There's guys that are down on their back. They don't have anything. And my pastor put it to me really well one time. He said that, when you have one oxen, it comes with duties, but when you have 3 or 4 oxen, now you can really get a lot done, but there's twice as much to clean in the stalls. Everything comes at a cost. That's a good point. Right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
But you're blessed.
Yeah.
And so I've always looked at it like that, like right now I have basically 2 jobs. I'm full-time Iron Core. I'm full-time working with Play, and I'm blessed. I love it, so it's an awesome thing, but you constantly have to change, intentionally have that perspective of gratitude, and it drives you up.
Yeah. So what has it been like now? Obviously you've gone back with Iron Core. Looking back, obviously running Pendulum, then joining Rogers and basically bringing over the Pendulum line there and doing that for a number of years. Like going back now on your own, what has that shift been like? Good, bad, indifferent? Are you happy that you made that change?
I am absolutely thrilled that I made that change, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done, because it's like I'm 61 years old, and I'm doing things that it would be difficult for. I'm doing things I wasn't able to do at 20. So it's very, very difficult. But the thing was, I had slowly lost what I loved, and I wanted to get that community back. And trying to just pause for a minute, I took probably a month. and just sat there and think, now I got to reinvent myself at 60 years old. I mean, what am I going to do? Is there still enough people out there that actually care about the end product?
Yeah.
Can I actually compete? And that's actually a conversation I had when I first started Pendulum. I'm like, who needs another piece of exercise equipment in the 80s when you had Hammer Strength and you had all these big players?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what am I going to do differently? And back then the answer was, I'm going to care more.
Yeah.
You're going to know who put this thing together. That's not something that was common back then, and it's really lost now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have people that are really wonderful people approach me to manufacture overseas all the time. And I'm like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
You know, so these will be handmade pieces, and I care. And by gosh, I started out with Iron Core on Instagram. I think I had like 400 followers. We started it full time in July of 23. And now we're over 4,000 followers.
Yeah.
And it turns out there are some people that really care.
Yeah.
They're
They're out there.
They're
out
out
there. Yeah.
there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's enough of them to feed me and to give me the positive energy, and there's enough for me to share my craft with. So it's enough, you know. So I'm pretty excited about that part of it.
Yeah, that we're just pulling up the Instagram here with some of your posting, and it's neat, man. You share, it's fun. Like you share a different piece of equipment. I know there's a post you put up of the shrug that you built for me compared to like how you had modified it. I don't know where. Oh, there I am using. That's a unique chest piece there.
That's the original vertical chest press that I made back in the day. So
that was great. That was
it feels like you're doing a bench press.
Yes.
It feels just like a bench press. Yeah, it's so fun. I'm slowly gathering a lot of my original stuff back. I find it out in the field and I take it back. And
sure.
So that'll be one of my next adventures, is to start a gym with all unique equipment, including like a museum of all of my original stuff. So I'm slowly hand picking stuff and getting it here and there, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. We got to play with the pull down, the pendulum pull down, which was, you said, was one of the original ones you have there. That was fun. I mean, it's just like, but again, the appreciation, and it's got to be neat for you to see like those time capsule types of pieces where it's like, hey, I did this, or like to get the message from Scotland saying like, hey, you did this how many years ago, and it's still being used, and you know, people are still benefiting from it. That's got to be great.
It actually caught me off guard because I'm a real quiet, private person. I don't spend a lot of time on social media. I don't really do a lot out there, and it was funny because people were saying, you don't know how famous you are over here in like Europe. Like your stuff is being collected by all these collectors, and I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, seriously, you are like really legit famous here in Germany. And I said, like, David Hasselhoff? I'm like, I'm the Hoff. But they really appreciated that, making the connection, I think, with the actual builder and the product.
Yeah.
That was something that is, you know, you don't have that with big companies where it's like, no, this is the guy, you know, this is the thing. And then my stuff became really collectible and valuable. Guys were paying like $15,000 for something I made for $2,500 back in the day.
Sure.
So I'm like, well, I'll make it again.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're looking at some of the old OG pieces and reimagining and doing just like what I did with that, you know, the flex type piece. I'm looking at my stuff and I'm like, man, I didn't hardly even know how to weld when I first started. Yeah. Now I see things differently. I see different angles, and now it's like I can make that way better now.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I'm doing with that hip press I did. It's quite a bit different, but it's still kept the good stuff, the magic feel to it. And then I beefed up the whole machine and added a lot of other little tricks to it.
Well, it's you're a master of what you do, right? So it's like your skills always get better because you've been working on it for how long now? You know, so it's like you start to do that, and then when you get into it, you know, you go back and it would. I mean, I'm sure anybody if they're in their career, they may say, hey, 20 years ago I did this. Well, I know now that I could do this better, change that or whatever, and beef it up and make it better. But what is with the Iron Core line, like what is your kind of goal, or what are you kind of looking toward with that?
So what I'm looking to do, how I do everything with Iron Core is like I'll come out with a concept piece, and I'll get a prototype done, and then the only way I can kind of keep the cost down is to do it in a batch. So I'll go, okay, here's my like that shrug.
Yep.
I'm gonna make 20 of those shrugs.
Sure.
And I can't, like, if somebody calls me up in the middle of after I ran that 20, go, oh, make me a shrug. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Because it would cost $10,000 for me to stop everything and
just do that.
Just do one shrug. So I'm doing batches, and I'm trying to create a product list of 20 pieces. And I'm letting the people kind of dictate what those pieces are. I listen to hear what reoccurring demands that are out there, and the pullover is a big one. Yeah. That's on my hit list. So I've created a hit list of 20 machines, and I'm just going to go through them one at a time. I've already kind of know what my next one's going to be. Yeah. And we'll just kind of keep going through there, and then I'm going to do this like for at least the next 4 or 5 years, and then after that I'll have a gym with 20 really awesome pieces, and then the people that were along for the ride and they got to get a piece too, hopefully that becomes very valuable for them down the road. Yeah.
But you want to open a gym in Texas, I'm assuming.
Yeah, my family's there, so yeah. I'm going to open a gym in Texas, and it's probably going to be, I'm not sure. I have a lot of friends that have gyms. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of studied to see what that business model looks like. I've had a gym before, and it was a terrible failure because it was more one-on-one training. And the thing I ran into, nobody wanted to train with anybody but me. Well, that kind of boxed me into only having 8 clients a day.
You only so many hours. Yeah, for sure.
So I couldn't get the same level of training from the other trainers. It's not that they weren't doing the same thing. It's just that the customers felt like it was special if I was training them.
Of course.
So yeah. I'm going to do more of an open gym. I don't know, more of like an old school barbell club type thing where it's very private, very limited number of people can come in there. Yep. But have the best equipment out there. Yeah. I mean, you go into these gyms now and it's almost comical, some of the stuff they have in there. It feels horrible. Yep. But to have a destination gym where people could come in and train on some of these classics for the day, sure, I think would be really cool.
I think you would get a lot of people, especially if it's like that, like a club, where and I don't know that there's a lot of those out there now, but if it's more of a exclusive, there's a certain standard that's going to be held within that, and the way that you obviously treat the gym and whatever. And I think that a lot of, gym owners unfortunately have to deal with people that have no respect for the equipment or any of it, right? So everything just gets abused. And, I mean, not to say that everybody does that, but when you have a group and that's the way that they're treating the gym or the equipment or leaving things a mess or whatever, like it doesn't, it makes it very hard on a gym owner. Like if you walk in and something's broken, it's like, well, that person that broke that didn't understand how much it costs. They don't understand how much it's going to cost to get fixed. And like, there's a lot of that, like as a gym owner, I could see being very frustrating, like just kind of wearing
caution
on you.
Yeah. That's a caution for me. Cause Madhouse Gym in Georgia, he's got pieces in there that he's personally restored to make them look beautiful. And I mean, it would cost, he probably couldn't replace some of those pieces. Sure. And then somebody leans a plate up against the side of it.
Scratches it.
And you're like, what are you doing?
Yep. Yep.
It's, I talked to another guy that has a gym up in Wisconsin. And his business model is like, he's got a handful of guys that are members there, and they have to invite the members to come in. So it's like you can come in, but you have to have somebody speak to you. It's like almost being invited to be, in the Lions Club or something like that. Somebody has to invite you in.
Interesting.
And so he knows anybody that's walking in has already been vetted.
Got it.
And
so they're vouching for them in a way.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. It's kind of like probably kind of creates a little bit of a boys club there, but I think he's done really well. And if anybody leaves his gym and they decide they cancel their membership or whatever, he's like, okay, it obviously wasn't good for you. You're never allowed back in that gym.
Yeah.
You can't come back and renew your membership.
Sure.
It's like, no, you had.
That's a rule. Hey, man, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a privilege. It should be a privilege, right? Like, and especially with, with the piece of equipment you're going to have in yours. I mean, it would like, you cannot realistically, there'd be very few places that you could go to train on equipment like that and to have that experience. So it is exclusive, and it's like you would feel, you just would feel good walking in and saying, hey, this is where I go. Like, this is, it's amazing, right?
You in your gym right there, your private gym is probably a lot nicer than most people's private gyms, but there's over $100,000 worth of equipment easily in there.
Yep.
That's a big investment. And then you have somebody come in and leave plates all over the place, trash your stuff, not wipe the sweat off of it. And what are you giving me, $25, $30 a month to come in and tear up my stuff?
Sure. Yep.
I'm almost talking myself out of the gym business.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, you could, if you do it right, man, if it's meaningful, I think, and there are gyms that are super profitable, and they've created a good culture of people there. And, I know there's different gym owners that are like, hey, they create within the community a sense of ownership of like, hey, we're proud of this. And if somebody comes in and they're a cancer, so to speak, within the gym, then you remove them, right? And if the gym members learn that there's a zero tolerance policy for any of that nonsense, then it almost is like, okay, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to get kicked out or leave. So there's, it creates this, like, it's almost setting the example, at the beginning, and that would just be setting the tone. It's like, well, this is what's acceptable. This is what's not. And, you could probably make it as big or as small. And then the thing is too, maybe it's like, here's your set membership. That's how many members we're going to have. And then you're on a waiting list or something, like if you want to get in.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then so it's like, okay, I've had to wait for this long to get in, and here's a spot. So now I'm not going to take it for granted at all, where I think,
when it's so crowded, they can't get on a machine.
Well, the other thing, I think from a gym owner perspective, right. And I'm sure everybody would probably not agree with me from a gym owner standpoint, but if I had a gym, I would want everybody that was a member to come train, right? Like, I would want them to come train versus there's a lot of gym models that maybe the monthly membership is so low where people are like, whatever, it's not a big deal. I'm going to sign up, and they go, they maybe go a couple weeks and then they pay for 12 months and they never come in and train really, but they're not improving. They're not getting better, right? So their life isn't improved, but they're still paying the money because they want to be a member, I guess, or whatever. But it's like, a lot of gyms out there sell so many memberships to their gym, and the people don't come, right? So it's also, and I guess, like I said, as a gym owner, it's nice for you if they don't cancel and they keep paying and they don't come in and beat up the equipment or use it or whatever. But at the same time, if you had a place where it was a little bit more exclusive and it's like, hey, I want people to come because I want them to improve their lives. Like, this is important. It's important that it's a part of your routine to a certain extent that you are coming and you are being active, and I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it's,
when I traveled around, it was kind of interesting because there were very select people that would buy my equipment for the gyms because it's 3 times as much money. So
sure,
you'd get guys who would buy that equipment because they wanted to create a destination. We want to attract more people.
Yep.
And then I would have guys, I actually had a gym owner tell me, he goes, we've got this monthly billing thing going on. We don't want all of our members to come at one time.
Interesting.
We are just automatically billing because they're just going to forget about it. But they would have like 2,500, 3,000 members.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want them to come back. They come here for 2 weeks and then, I'm making money off of them for the whole rest of the year. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. And then I've got guys like the Roman Empire gym in League City. I love that guy. But you go into his gym, it's massive. Every piece in his gym is hand-picked. His place is pristine. Yeah. It is pristine, and all of the people are respectful. You walk around, it's amazing. And I think he's only 28 years old, something like that, and he's built that up since over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But so he's a guy I really study and watch. That's probably a little bit of a bigger program that I'd like to bite off, but it's pretty cool.
Well, it's neat and again, it's the culture, right? Like it's like what's accepted and what do you accept and what's not acceptable and just having people that are bought into it, right? And I think that if you have that sense of pride, any community of people, like it's special, right? Like go in there and you have a positive vibe. Everybody's there to encourage one another and that type of thing. And I think, going to the gym, and I haven't really, number one, been able or wanted to really to go where I'm in a public gym all the time. I'll go on the road or something, but it's very obviously difficult for me to go in and get a good workout, like, in a place. But it's like that's something I used to enjoy when I was going, because you'd see kind of the same people and, they're working hard and it's, a little bit of that social interaction and motivation too. It's like, okay, I see you working hard. I'm going to work hard. Like, and you kind of build each other up in that way.
Yeah, that accountability from a good training partner.
Yes,
like you get that phone call like you overslept and he's already at the gym and he's like, where are you?
Yes, yes.
Get over here.
Yep. A good training partner, man. That's a whole different conversation. That's very, very, very rare to find, especially in a serious capacity, right? Like if you're really seriously training for something, to find a good training partners, that's hard. That can be very hard.
Oh, I used to love that about the powerlifting community, is that those guys would gather like 3 or 4 guys, and it's a different kind of a lift. They're not trying to get a pump, so everybody's egging each other on and everybody's doing that. Now it was awesome. I used to go, and Anthony Clark would let me come and hang out with him and do some of the lifts with him, and that was a whole nother crazy thing because he was so incredibly strong.
Yeah.
But, there's such a tight community, and that accountability, like you said, is off the charts when you've been invited to go to a gym to attend with a bunch of other guys.
Big time. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Well, I will say it's fascinating, man. And the passion, that you have, it's so fun to, get in together and talk shop and, go through it. And it's apparent. It is very apparent. Like every time we get together, I think we can talk a little bit more about how things are going and, what the plan is. And for me, my wife might not agree with this, but for me, am very excited to see what you're coming out with next for sure, man. Cause there's just adding to the gym, and I can't wait to, get in there and reorganize a little bit, and get things put away. But
I
it's
think
great.
You need to tell Carrie that college is really overrated. Those kids, all that money you've been socking away for that. Yeah. I mean, I think he could come work with me. Your kids can come out there and do an apprenticeship.
Right.
We could teach them how to do some welding, and and then they can, in the end of the day, they might take over the Iron Core brand. Who knows?
Hey, man, Braxton is super into building. I will say that. Like it's crazy how his mind works, and it's fun to see. The college discussion, we have talked about that quite a bit. Like, how much, because it used to be like when I was growing up, it's like, well, you go to high school and that's what you should do. You should go to college, get your degree done, whatever, and that's how you're going to get a better job and all of that. I think things have shifted. It'll be interesting to see, in the future how that goes. And I think it, with college, I think it very much depends on what you're trying to do and what what you want to do, and getting a college degree in something doesn't translate to a job, probably not very valuable nowadays, where the cost of getting that done versus if you're going into something where it's very applicable. Like the trades now, like I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, like having a skill, some type of trade going into, whether it's, electrician or plumber or welding, like all this type of stuff, that is a skill that's never going to go away. It's going to be needed. And right now it's like going into that, like you could probably do better for yourself, whether you try to work for yourself or you're working for somebody else, but you've got a high level of skill to do something like that. It's going to be very valuable.
Yeah, and that's incredible that you say this. So I was very blessed to get my nephew to come work with me. He's worked on a yard crew with his father and a big crew. They had multiple trucks since he was like 8 years old. His brother, equally as amazing worker, is graduating from the Navy SEAL program this fall.
Awesome.
So these kids are I've never seen anybody work that hard. So I have complete faith in our generation.
Love it.
But how many kids, they don't know how to read a tape measure. They don't know how to hold a nail and a hammer.
Yeah.
And maybe their parents don't even know how to do that stuff. But
Sure.
I know of kids that their fathers are craftsmen and the kids are just not interested in doing that.
Is this who James just pulled up a video?
That's my nephew, Gavin.
Oh, awesome.
That's the one. He's a power lifter. He's a freshman at LSU. He came and worked with me this summer, and he just wanted to he wanted to come see what it was like to design equipment and whatever. And after about 3 days of that, he was like, I don't know if I would really like your job.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and in Texas, it's not an air-conditioned building either. So it's
humidity.
You're welding. You're in welding clothes. You've got your fire retardant stuff on, your gloves, your hat.
You better be ready to sweat a little bit.
Oh my gosh! So. But it's my father-in-law comes up and drills holes on the mill. He's 83 years old.
Yeah.
So it's, but I think there is something to be said to go back in time to where there was apprenticeships and journeymen, electricians. There's a lot of honorable trades out there, and those guys are nowhere to be found right now.
Yeah. Well, and if you could apply that, kind of circling back on earlier what we said. If you could be in a trade like that, and then your customers, people that you do work with, later on would the cup of coffee thing, right? I love that. I like if you could go work for somebody and do that job, and then you'd be able to shake their hand, meet up with them, have a great interaction, and do good work that you're proud of, right?
Absolutely.
I think right now, if you're capable of doing that, you could build a business that would be incredible if you had integrity, right? And you would do it the right way. And I think that's where, the for sure the younger generation, the opportunity is immense. I think it really is. If you could do something like that, but then, you're not cutting corners and you are a hard worker, right? And I'd say all the time with our boys, if you can teach them to work hard and to be disciplined and to have integrity, that is going to separate them in such a big way compared
100%.
To other kids that all they do is cut corners and they're lazy and they're not willing to work hard, right? And that's now the competitiveness. If they're competitive mixed with that, now you have an open runway in front of you, So I think that it's important for, this message, if there are younger kids listening to this, or even if they're not younger and they're like, hey, 20s, 30s, whatever. It's that mental approach and having that work ethic, but doing things the right way, it's something that I'll tell you a story yesterday, right? So we were kind of, busy, whatever. And we went to this place, we took the boys out and there was a pizza place, right? And we just went and sat down to eat. And I walked in the bathroom with my son and he had to go to the bathroom and I was like, hey, walk in. And there is paper towels just like all over the floor, right? Like people just so lazy, not throwing them in the trash can, whatever. And there was a guy that I'm assuming he was a cook or something, like he definitely was an employee there, right? Went to wash his hands, stepped over all the paper towels. Like he works there, right? And I get it. Like, all right, maybe that's not your job to clean and whatever, but you should be proud of the place that you're working at, I would think. Right. So I showed my son and I said, hey, look, man, we're going to pick up all these paper towels. We don't work here.
Good for you.
Right. We don't work here, but it's like, we're not going to leave it for the next person. Right. Like, cause it's somebody, and the owner, I relate more, I guess, probably to the owner, where it'd be like, that had to be, you want somebody to work for you that would be willing to pick up a paper towel or willing to pick up a trash or not leave a mess or whatever. But, we stood there and he watched me and I'm picking up, the paper towels. He helped me pick them up and then it's clean. It took all of 20 seconds, 30, like less than a minute to just clean that up. But to watch that employee step over those and just wash his hands and leave, even though we were there and you could see that it was a mess, is wild. Right. But it's like, that's a type of person where if you have somebody that's like, oh, well, I'm going to go take this extra step, I'm going to look for the next thing to do, I'm not going to wait to be told to do it, I'm just going to do it. Like that type of person is rare. Right. And it's just, but if you can do that, it will take you so far in life. And I try to say these types of things to people because it's just, I don't have to clean that up, right? Like there's no reason that I would have to clean that up. I'm the customer, I'm there. But it's like we've done that, and I've done that with my boys several different times in different places where it's just, why not? Right? It hurts me none at all to do that and to show them like, hey, we're just not going to leave it for the next person. We're not going to be lazy. Same thing with putting your shopping cart away, right?
Amen.
Same thing. It's just like, how many people go shop and leave their shopping cart so lazy, just leave it because somebody else is supposed to do it, right? But like as a society, if we could take that mindset and say, hey, I'm going to put my shopping cart away, and then, even if somebody left theirs there, I'm going to grab that one and put it away too, and not leave it for whoever's supposed to be doing the carts. But then when they walk out, they've got to go around the entire parking lot and sort out all the carts. It makes their job harder. And it's just one of these, it's such a simple thing, but so many people are just lazy and like, oh, we'll just leave it for somebody else. Somebody else will do it. I'm not going to do it. And it's such a terrible mindset to have, and you can tell a lot about somebody from putting their shopping cart away or not. I mean, something simple like that, because that's a very simple task, right? But it's such a indicator of what are you willing to do and how are you willing to do it, when nobody's looking also, right? Like it's such an important thing. And, there's ways you can cut corners, but I think for me, and I'm sure for you, it's like, as you sell these pieces of equipment to people, if you were to cut a corner, it would probably keep you up at night all night thinking like, well, I could have done that better. I could have given a better product. And so like, but the way that you do it, you don't ever have to think that. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing for me. It's like, I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, hey, I did the best I could do for sure. Right. I am not going to bed knowing I could have done something better. I could have done something more. I could have changed it. And I cut this corner, cause I couldn't live with that. I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I left that for somebody else. Like that's not, I don't have to worry about that. It's such an important thing and message, I think.
I think, guys will benefit. Our country will benefit from fathers like you that stopped and gave that very small but important lesson.
Yeah.
It's such a little thing, but for young people to come on, like with mine, the hardest thing for me to do with my young staff, everybody on my staff is 21. My manager of Iron Core is 21.
Yep.
My lead welder that works with me is 21, and I think my oldest guy is 22. I've been blessed by having young men work with me that their fathers cared.
Yeah.
And so we've tried to fit another couple people in, and we've had to get rid of them right away just because it was toxic to the environment.
Yeah.
But if you could just get a kid to come on board and you can teach them. Like I clean the bathrooms.
Yeah.
I'm down on my hands and knees scrubbing the toilet and emptying the garbage. And my guys see that as he's not going to ask me to do something that he won't do.
For sure. For sure.
And so that's a big message. But, you know, they care. Like I have the ability to come and see you, and I don't have to worry about what's going on in my shop.
See, that's incredible. Yeah.
That's rare. That is so rare.
When
to find people like
especially with that age, you know, at 21, 22, to have that type of mindset, you know, and for them, they're going to grow. And again, it's a runway. At that point in your life, you have a complete open runway in front of you to do everything, right? And the way that you attack life and attack what you're doing, I mean, it's just such an incredible opportunity. And that's like any younger, you know, person out there, like that it's so exciting, right? Like I just ran into I was talking to some boys. I went to this graduation party, and, you know, they were all excited about, like, all right, they're graduating high school, and, you know, just taking a couple minutes to talk to them. But it's like, look at that point in your life and what you have in front of you and the way that you go attack it, right? And go after whatever you want to go after. It doesn't matter what you want to go after, but go after it with passion and work hard, like separate yourself. You have every ability to separate yourself at that point from 18 to, you know, whatever. Let's just say you crushed it from 18 to 25. You're going to look back and say, man, at 25, I'm in a pretty good spot compared to my friends that just wasted how many years of not doing anything and having no passion, you know? So it's just a different mindset. And you know, again, it's interesting though to hear, like with you, it's, you know, these younger men, and it's like, well, they're set up in a great way because of what, you know, their parents, you know, taught them and had them go through. And, you know, it's just, society could change, you know, with a single generation if people would just do that.
Oh,
you know?
Gosh, you hear the word mindset so often in competitive sports, and just in anything that requires discipline. And it was funny. My guys were all, my shop gets hot. It'll get up to 115. It's a tin building that's not insulated. And so in the Texas heat, and now you can't have fans blowing on you when you're welding because it blows the shield gas away. So you're literally welding until you have to change your clothes because you get electrocuted when your clothes are so wet it grounds, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there talking to these boys, and we're just miserable. Yeah. We're absolutely miserable. And we're all covered in metal grease and grime, creating these. They don't look anything like that when they're right? So we're all looking at each other, and I look at them, and they're just smiling at me. I said, you know what this is like, guys? This is like, can you imagine in Bill Gates' garage when he was, like, you know, experimenting, or Steve Jobs when they're building in their garages this little dream.
Sure.
And you have nothing. You've borrowed money. You've got all your credit cards are maxed out, but you believe in the dream. I said, this is how it all starts, right here.
Yeah.
So there's the mindset of a millionaire right in front of me, all covered in grease and sweat. Like these guys are grinning from ear to ear going, it's going to be so amazing.
Yes.
So there's this manifestation that's taking place. There's this all this mindset that's starting to evolve in these young guys, and they're doing the most miserable thing they've ever done, and they love it.
Yeah, building character.
Yes.
Yeah. That's. I'll tell you what, man. I'm so you know, thankful for. I got to work on my uncle's farm growing up, and it was like middle of summer, stacking hay, 100+ degrees, you know, and you're out there working, your hands. You know, the baler, like the twine is, every bale you're grabbing by hand is just you, but your hands are so sore, and it's like I wish, and to be fair, I think we'll probably even try to find a farm where the boys could go do some of that stuff, just because of you don't get to quit when you're tired, right? That is not an option. If there's more bales, you need to get them out of the field and you need to get them stacked. And it doesn't matter how bad you're hurting or how tired you are or whatever, you just find a way to do it because that's what you need to do. And I think that, you know, that type of work and being in the, you know, in the scenario that you're talking about, it's like, you know, It was you, but it would be fun, man. And I remember just like you'd be on top of that stack of that truck and that stack of hay, and you got water, right? So it was like you'd get the water, and that drink of water tasted better than anything. It was just like you'd get done stacking or you'd get it off the truck and stack it, and it was just like that feeling. Like it's just as a kid, like you're accomplished.
You slept
you
so
worked
good
hard,
that night.
yeah. And you worked your butt off, literally. But it's you didn't quit when it got hard, right? And you know, it's funny because I did that with my brother for years, and then he graduated, and then I would try to bring, you know, I brought different guys that I played basketball out there with me, and only a couple could do it, and others would, like, I literally had to take them home at lunch. You know, it was like they just weren't going to do it. And they quit immediately. And it was like, it's just different. But like for me, it was like I would work, you know, and I would work until I was done, you know, and it's just a different thing. So it's really cool to hear that you got guys at that age and they have that type of mindset, like to live in that space.
You know, just last night when we got everything loaded up, and it was late the night because I wanted to leave at like 4 a.m.
Early, yeah.
So I got everything loaded, and you know, there's always stuff at the very end. You got to really tend to the details to make everything just right. And
yeah.
Up into the very last minute, they were still tweaking stuff, and we got everything into the trailer. And you know, I was looking at them; they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Inside that trailer was so hot, you know, that
I bet
if you touched the wall, it would burn your hand, you know. But they're all looking at me, and I said, "Hey guys, why don't you go ahead and knock off and go on home? I'll ratchet everything down myself. You've helped me. Everything's good."
Yeah.
They were like, "No, there's still things we can do to help. We can still wrap the foam. We're not leaving until you leave."
That's awesome.
And I'm like, "Well, thank you. You don't have to, you know."
Yeah.
So I run to my freezer and get them all popsicles, little Scooby snacks.
Something, man, something.
But yeah, that's how they are. And I'm blessed by that. And I just gives me so much hope for this generation. There's a bunch of awesome young people out there.
Well, and they'll be the leaders, right? Like any you know, people like that are going to be the leaders, and they're going to set the tone. And you know, they're like I said, the opportunity is there for sure. You know, to do whatever you want to do, you can do it. But again, it's not going to be put in your lap and given to you. And like you got to work for it.
A good plumber is going to be making $250, $300 an hour.
Easy. Yep.
Because hey, when that plumbing stops up, you'll pay whatever you have to pay.
Yeah. Well, this is it, and then you know, you could be so successful with it. And I think it's just seeing the opportunity, you know, and going after it. So
I agree with you. 100%.
Such a fun conversation, man. Well, I wish you nothing but the best with Iron Core, everything you're doing, man. And I can't wait to, well, like I said, I'm excited to get more equipment because it's just kind of a problem that I have. But
I'm telling you, the secret is these guys just need to start buying Iron Core pieces for their wives, whether she wants it or not.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You come out, I'll try to swing that. I'll try to swing it that way.
See how that works.
Yeah. If I can just get her to train on a couple things, it'll be good. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got the next one already in the hopper for you. So
love it, man. So if you guys want to check out any of Tyler's stuff, it's just Iron Core Strength on Instagram. Is that the best place?
That's the best place. That's where I put most of the stuff. The website's under construction and it's coming along nicely, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on it. But it is coming in. It's ironcorestrength.com.
Got it. Awesome. Well, guys, give Tyler some love, and I'm sure you'll be seeing more videos of me using the equipment in my gym without a doubt. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hope you're all doing amazing. For now, going to be great. We'll check you guys later.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.